Welcome, everybody. I want to talk about cigarettes and tobacco. This is something I get questioned about and asked about quite often, so let's do a video about it. I've talked about alcoholism and a handful of different things in the past, but I haven't really talked about the addiction of tobacco, and it is definitely an addiction, and it's really wreaking havoc on so many people. If you guys are interested in this subject, if you want to hear me talk more about this, I will consider making it into a series, kind of like my alcoholism series, but I'm going to try to keep my voice down, you guys. There's people sleeping here. But let's get right into it. I smoked cigarettes for so many years. I smoked cigarettes for over 6 years, continually. Sure, I took like a 1 month break here and there from time to time, but I never really was able to quit completely. It controlled my life, and that's why I'm completely against tobacco use. I don't condone it. Um, for the last year and a half to 2 years of my tobacco consumption or addiction, let's just put it that way, I was smoking organic tobacco that apparently didn't have any pesticides or herbicides and things like that in it. But, you know, that doesn't really make it that much better. I mean, yes, it's probably better that you're not smoking so many chemicals and additives and things like that, but to utilize organic tobacco as kind of an excuse to not quit, that's very immature, and that's something that I did. Luckily, you guys, what I found is that I eventually just got sick of it to the point where I just let it go. There were other certain meditations that I utilized that really helped me in visualization work, and I'll talk more about that in the future if you guys are interested in hearing more about it. But again, ladies and gentlemen, tobacco use is just, to me, I mean, if you're going through it, I can sympathize with you. Personally, what I would do if I were going through it, if I were you, um, you really essentially just have to deeply question whether or not this is something that you see yourself doing in the future. Some people love tobacco. I know people who have smoked their whole lives and they don't plan on quitting anytime soon. Um, but you will get to a point, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't quit soon enough, where it can catch up to you. And it's better to be wise and give up now while you can and you have your health. Because lung cancer is no joke. And, lung cancer is one of those things that you can, to a large extent, avoid from not smoking. From not smoking. So if you get yourself into a situation that many people do where you create your own lung cancer from smoking, it leads to massive amounts of depression because you created that or nurtured that lung cancer. And that's not the type of situation that you want to be in if you do develop a sickness like a cancer. You don't want to have to dwell on the fact that, oh my gosh, like I did this to myself. You don't want to die like that. Quit smoking. Please quit smoking. Care about yourself enough to at least deeply take time away. If you're a smoker, I would like to ask you to do this right now. Go sit down and I really ask yourself, do you see yourself doing this a year down the road? Do you see yourself doing this 5 years down the road? Because if you don't, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, you already know that it's not good for you. You just do it because it's become a habit. And luckily, ladies and gentlemen, habits can be changed. You can change habits. You can alter your destiny. You don't have to give in to your addictions and remain a slave to your addictions. I know because I've been there. Ladies and gentlemen, I was addicted to alcohol. I was an alcoholic. I used drugs heavily in the past. I used tobacco heavily. Again, alcohol. It's like I've been into the worst addictive patterns that there are. If I can do it, you can do it. It's not as easy, or excuse me, it's not as difficult as you probably think. But if you approach quitting with the idea that it's going to be super difficult, it's not going to help you. So, another thing, ladies and gentlemen, that keeps people bound to smoking and addictions in general is, the withdrawal symptoms. People will actually, oftentimes people will go back to smoking or drinking because, ladies and gentlemen, they can't handle the withdrawal symptoms. And there are withdrawal symptoms, and that's the most difficult part of quitting anything that's non-beneficial. There's usually symptoms involved. When you're doing something that's unhealthy and you create an addiction around it, there's going to be some repercussions, at least a little bit of rocky roads at the beginning until you get used to life without it, and that's normal. Everyone goes through it. You've got this. But what happens, ladies and gentlemen, at least for me, is every time in the past when I smoked cigarettes and every time I tried to quit smoking cigarettes in the past, I would have like just horrible brain fog. And I'm a very creative person, and I don't like not being able to have like mental creativity. I don't like to be able to not be creative with my mind. And every time I would go to quit cigarettes, after the first day, it's like I had a lot of trouble putting my words into sentences and creating creative thoughts. And that really drove me crazy. I would also get headaches and irritability, and those things would eventually tempt me into smoking cigarettes, and I would go back to smoking just to satiate and get rid of those symptoms, because they do disappear if you give into your addictions. But the problem is, ladies and gentlemen, is that every time you make 2 steps forward to make 5 steps backwards, it makes quitting again that much worse. So you've got this. I'm not trying to fearmonger and say that if you've tried to quit in the past, it's going to be so hard for you to quit the next time. But all I'm trying to get through to you guys is that you owe it to yourself to figure out your life now and to change your life for the better in this very moment. If you can't do it now, ladies and gentlemen, you're probably, you want to be able to do things now. You want to be able to get from point A to point B right now. You have so many things that you can do with your life. If you could just get out of this toxic way of thinking and do things like, I used to smoke so much, but now, ladies and gentlemen, I can actually be around cigarettes. It doesn't bother me. So there's this author that I like. His name is Andreas Moritz, and he always said that you should be able to be around cigarettes without it bothering you. A lot of people will quit something and they'll like completely avoid it. I can't be near that. I can't be near that. It's like you give this thing you give it so much power to the point where you have to like become a shut-in to avoid addiction. I can be around cigarettes. I can be around alcohol. I can be around drugs. They don't tempt me anymore because I have owned it. That pack of cigarettes does not need to control your life. You shouldn't be afraid of them. Once you get to a point where you're serious and you know that you've quit, the smell of cigarettes won't tempt you. It's about changing patterns, and you have to let this part of yourself, you have to let these addictions die, ladies and gentlemen. So many people hold on to their addictions like they're like these loved aspects of themselves. You're killing yourself, folks. Smoking cigarettes is killing you. Drinking excessive alcohol is killing you. I'm not saying that you can't have a cigarette here and there, or that a little bit of tobacco every once in a while is going to kill you, but personally I think avoidance and abstinence from these toxic substances is the greatest way to achieve good health. I don't think you need to have a social cigarette or a social drink. That's just my view. So what I do, you guys, because I used to smoke a lot at night, is when I get cravings, I'll do stuff like, this is a organic liquid turmeric and emulsified extract. So, here's the other thing about cigarettes, you guys, or any addiction that's negative, is that once you quit, you have to make up for lost time. The further you go forward without quitting, the harder you're making it for yourself. So once I finally quit smoking, it's like so many really interesting things happened, you guys. My mind blossomed once I got through the rocky period. My mind is like laser sharp now compared to what it used to be. I feel much better about myself. Like, it feels so good to be able to naturally breathe deeper. And you'll notice that is that each month that you stay away from tobacco, your lungs, you can naturally just breathe deeper. And more oxygen means more, your blood's going to be much healthier. And if your blood's much healthier, ladies and gentlemen, your brain's going to be much healthier. And if your brain's much healthier, your life is going to be much healthier. And if your life is much healthier, you have more options and you can have more fortitude and ability to achieve and tackle your goals. Having big goals in life, ladies and gentlemen, having like really groundbreaking goals and aspirations, those are very good things. You need to have those. But like smoking and drinking and doing all these toxic things, they really they separate you from being able to have all the energy that you need and require to get your biggest dreams accomplished. I'm not saying that there aren't people who smoke who aren't incredibly artistic, and there's people who abuse their bodies who are incredibly artistic and they get things done, but imagine what you could do without them. So, people get addicted, ladies and gentlemen, to things because it makes them temporarily feel better, and they also get addicted to things because once they get used to an addictive substance and using it often, the thought of living without it becomes daunting to the rational mind. And once you once you trick your rational mind, once you trick your conscious mind into thinking you need something, you embed it into the subconscious mind, and now you have the unconscious layers of your psyche becoming attached to these negative things. You can separate yourself from these things, ladies and gentlemen. So what I do now is, like, when I get cravings, and I do get cravings every once in a while, but I don't give in to them. I'll take this is an amazing, you guys, this organic liquid turmeric. I think I have some of this in my Amazon store. If you're interested in checking that out, you can look at the links below. But, I mean, wow, look at this stuff. This is some amazing turmeric. It's got, what do we have here? It's got ginger oil, lemon myrtle essential oil, biodynamic rosemary hydrosol, biodynamic organic lavender hydrosol. This has a little bit of raw unfiltered honey, turmeric paste, fenugreek, ashwagandha. There's a lot of adaptogens in this, ladies and gentlemen, and what adaptogens are, for those who don't know, adaptogens help your body and your mind adapt to stress. And that's what you're doing when you smoke cigarettes. You're absolutely stressing your body because you're really putting a lot of toxicity, you're putting a lot of strain on your lungs. And when you put strain on your lungs, you put strain on your blood. And once you put strain on your blood, that's the river of life. You pollute every organ in your system now because your blood circulates throughout your physiology and delivers oxygen and valuable nutrients to every part of your being. So to summarize things, you guys, even if you are going to keep smoking, I definitely recommend looking into adaptogens. And you spell that adapt, A-D-A-P-T, A-D-A-P-T-O-G-E-N. Sometimes I need things written out in front of me or to be able to write them out to be able to spell them properly, but pretty sure you can just type in adaptogen. You'll figure it out. Ashwagandha, that's an adaptogen. Schisandra, gynostemma. You need herbs, and you need to be able to recover properly. There's certain things that you can utilize that are natural to help you recover from smoking cigarettes, and there are certain things that you can take while you're smoking to help take some of the load off of your system. There's also things like you can inhale certain vapors, and there are nebulizers and things like that. We'll talk about that in the near future. If you guys want to hear me talk more about tobacco, please let me know. Excuse me. I want to summarize things by saying that I'm giving you guys a few tips. And I'm not recommending that you do this. I'm just telling you what worked for me. Deep down inside, even when I started enjoying cigarettes, because you never really enjoy the first cigarette you smoke. You cough, you think it's disgusting. But the more you drink and you socialize and you go out, other people are doing it, so you do it. And you begin to like that feeling of it going down your throat, the ritual of lighting something. You become addicted to even the vapors coming off the excuse me. Let's just say that smoking becomes a ritual, and that rituals become addictive because they affect the conscious and the subconscious mind, but they can at least. But even when I started enjoying cigarettes, I knew that it wasn't going to be a part of my life forever. I never wanted to actually think I needed to smoke, but I became addicted. But once I got more serious about my health, I got away from typical tobacco and I started smoking organic tobacco. And I did that for about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years before I quit. I think anytime you can minimize your exposure to chemicals and toxic additives, that's a good thing. And again, I'm not recommending anyone smokes, but I think, again, exposing yourself to less toxicity is a better thing than exposing yourself to more toxicity. And there's less additives and garbage constituents in organic tobacco. I'm going to wrap this one up, you guys, because I'm exhausted and it's 2 o'clock here in Virginia. But this will be part one of the cigarettes and tobacco discussion. Peace be with you.